comments and a couple of new follows on this English channel, and I was like, what's going on? And people were commenting on a video that I made many months ago. Some people even said a year ago about Sadia Khan Psychology, and that I had said, be aware of her. And to make you understand, is like I have hypersensitivity on my soul's goal, and everything is aligned to it, even my talents, like in terms of like feeling energies and understanding people, understanding toxic people, recognizing toxic people, and so forth. And I came across her by chance a couple of times, scrolling through videos, and I immediately noticed that something is very off with her. And I can notice that while she has this kind of like soft British voice, and this kind of like it always strike me as odd, especially the thing with Drake. And so but there was many more things that she said that seemed to me very strange in the terms of like tips and advice that she gave, and it didn't make sense with the knowledge and the learnings that I had. There was maybe one in 50 things that she would say. I would say like, okay, that's not, untrue. What is she saying? And some people were like, did you hear the news? You were so right about what you said, and so forth. And let me see, let me check out, um, because apparently,
Sadia Khan respond. It really doesn't
okay,
surprise
here it
me
says
because
Sadia
I
Khan was
saw
just
how she
exposed for
responded
being
to
a
my employees, and I'm
fraud,
like,
and
they
Pearl
just put you in this studio.
made a reaction video on it apparently. So let's just see.
Sadia Khan respond. It really doesn't surprise me because I saw how she responded to my employees, and I'm like,
This is something that I also wanted to say is I noticed that her account, whether it was on Instagram or somewhere else, there was a lot of like really nasty responses, which you would never expect from a therapist or psychiatrist or any kind of coach or whatever. It was very mean.
Sadia Khan respond. It really doesn't surprise me because I saw how she responded to my employees, and I'm like, they just put you in this studio. Today, we're going to have a little update from last show. So as you guys know, we had Sadia Khan.
There's a lot of
on
stuff circulating
will
now.
never understand. She's taking my position, misrepresenting it, and then saying, "Oh yeah, they're telling you to treat women like shit." No, you put them through their fucking paces. But again, women.
Let me see if I can find something that's like a really good
Sadia Khan
$8,000 per hour dating coach exposed. So I apparently a lot of people are making videos about her now. So I was probably then one of the first ones to expose her.
She's talking to a woman because she's fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
I can do it on your wedding day and your birthday.
Okay, well, we'll
days
see.
After.
Okay.
I've been in situations where he's been with you in.
So if let me check out my video because it has been a long time, and I'm pretty sure I know what I was talking about when I was speaking about Sadia Khan. And I felt, to me, like I usually don't do negative like reaction videos. It's not really my style, but I felt like this Sadia Khan was really like I could so intensely feel how off it is that I felt like I'm gonna make a video about this. And like I say, you usually don't do this, but let me see when I made the video. I made the video about Sadia in I should be able to see it on analytics because apparently a lot of people started clicking on it actually. Um that's interesting. I mean, if if uh that was Sadia Khan here. It didn't have really that many views yet, but I did a Sadia Beware video, which just exploded like the last few days, but exploded, not this kind of like huge internet explosion. But a lot of people started commenting on it. So people were saying here, okay, this is gonna be interesting. She stopped making sense. So I'm just going to read a couple of these things. Good afternoon from Hot Swansea in Wales. I've got an amazing view of the ocean from the campsite I'm staying at. That's cool. For me, it's the same. I don't actually have a view right now, but I'm also at the ocean. I'm in Asturias in Spain. Okay, so about Sadia Khan. She stopped making sense a long time ago after a few minutes. It's the dissonance between the visual representation and the words. Good catch. I'm of a conservative Muslim background, and I'm also very sensitive to energies from others. Seeing your video is 1 year old. That's amazing. Stay well, peace and blessings. 1 day ago, she always came across as a major hypocrite. She actually threatened her boyfriend 112D Defiancy. She would perform oral sex on her husband on her wedding day, birthday, and a real pig. Everything aging like wine. She needs to bury her heart and find Jesus. This video aged so well. You called it. This was a masterpiece, and it proved how good and honest you are. Thank you. A classical case of she looks the part and speaks like she knows, like the hardcore mega bass think of Trump. Pearl picked up the scent of Sada's shit, which she sells to people as chocolate, and was knocking on the door of her bathroom and telling her to flush it during the interview, but nobody realized it. This Sadia is the same woman who called Tom Brady not masculine. Heard the news, and then okay, then I just had a conversation with Sadia Khan. I just had a conversation with Sadia Khan. She's for sure a pure scam. She has no idea of what an empathetic conversation is. As a psychologist, you have to know that. And also, she doesn't believe that listening is important for anyone for having a conversation with influence. She's one of the most toxic people out there by far, and she's completely clueless in human behavior. She's an absolute con artist with any proper skills. She meant that Drake wouldn't find her attractive. She ain't exactly conventionally attractive. She's only attractive in her village in India. Well, she's absolutely conventionally attractive. Well, then people... Sadia Khan offers some good advice, but the most part, she's a feminist. This woman started to fight me and calling me names. She's very... One thing is very interesting that... I think I called Sadia out on something like 1 or 2 years ago on her Instagram, and it was interesting to see how she lashed out against people and how she was so uncentered. I think uncentered is the right word. 6 months ago, Sadia Khan is walking, talking, red flag. Notice how she always blames the man. She blames rich men for causing an environment where they buy them bags, houses, cars. She never blames the... the interesting thing is how she became famous. And the interesting thing is she became famous around the same time that Andrew Tate became famous. And I think she kind of filled the role of the supposedly like female psychologist who she would be like the opposite of kind of like, she would ride with kind of like the bro culture thing, but more like, I think the interesting thing about Sadia Khan is actually the fact that she rose to fame, and she must have filled a void which somehow needed to be filled on the internet for some reason. But I think she is the perfect example of how when you speak confident about something, that even if it's not true or even stupid, that people don't care, because people don't have the knowledge about psychology, about energy, about understanding what's really going on. So when the actual message is kind of sold pretty well, then it's easy to get mass appeal. And even if especially if it's controversial around topics like relationships and so forth, and women and men. Nicholas says here, Sadia Khan is a vile abuser. She has bullied me for ages on email telling me I'm ugly, trans, and look Horse Face. She recently threatened to post my boyfriend, saying she's a pedophile only because she disagreed on a video. She's a very disturbed person, not a psychologist. I have all the emails to show anyone who wants to see. A girl from India says, please publish it. She's already exposed now. Sadia Khan is a violent abuser. She's bullied me. Oh, she's posted that again. 11 months ago, agreed she would definitely smash given the opportunity. Finally, someone talks about this. So it's interesting how this video. Be careful about Sadia Khan Psychology, because in an interview, she's. That's really interesting how my video blew up in that sense. Like blew up. Would be interesting to see what happens when more people recognize it. I know a lot of times in my life, I speak about something. I remember there was a female friend that I had that I knew for 9 years. And she asked me sometimes about advice or things like that, and I would say do this or that or this and that if she asked for advice. And then many years later, like 5 years later, she was like, "Hey Jay, you were right about everything you said." And actually just another comment came in. Who said, "Oh wow, you really nailed it. Thank you." I'm just gonna post thank you for the recognition. And so a lot of times I speak about things which people don't yet understand or don't see. And I've learned to do just basically the last days, I really learned to leave the negative comments where they are and just understand that it's part of mass communication. You have to leave the negative comments there. And eventually I will be vindicated because I know that on a lot of things I'm actually right in the end. Thank you so much, Channel 4 fan. You're very nice. So even things like the Rosa, when she says, I'm stupid or something like that, I just accept whatever people say and just I'm gonna learn to go with the flow and not ban or remove these people. I think it in the end it will even be helpful, I think, in a way. And I was super surprised. Like, I was just like thinking, hey, what is my English channel doing? I haven't been posting for such a long time. And then I saw, all these people coming in, and that's interesting because I just now see that. Did I make more than one video? I think I made more than one video about Sadia Khan. I actually did make more than one video. I think. No, it was just one video. It's just a reflection of them, not you. Exactly, it's just projection. But I have there is something which I call toxic metaframing, and it comes out of libido suppression or libido empowerment. I do talk about this a lot. And I'm going to make definitely a couple of English videos explaining how to recognize toxic people. And the thing is that my kind of belief is that the sooner you remove toxic people from your life, the better. But it doesn't always work this way. It's great for personal interaction. So if somebody's toxic to you directly, it's perfect to get them out of your life immediately. But there's another situation, which is when you have a goal in mind and you're trying to reach that goal, sometimes you have to kind of use or instrumentalize the toxic people for your benefit. I'm going to give a good example. Like, it's sorry for using that as an example, but it makes a lot of sense when you listen to it. Is what Andrew Tate does is he does something super interesting. He makes very polarizing statements, and he used that on TikTok as well in order to get a very far reach. And he does that on purpose because he wants to trigger the algorithm to make his videos go viral. And that works quite well. So he just needs basically half of people to like him and half of people to hate him, and ideally even to for a war to start in the comments. And it's interesting because the moment that you can use this in the algorithm, that moment you go viral and you go worldwide. It works on TikTok, it works on YouTube, it works on Instagram. I had videos on Instagram which was super controversial just for the fun of it, and they reached 1.5 million views per video, and it was just going up and up and up. And I decided to remove it because it was just controversial. It wasn't really productive. And I think that I'm gonna start to use that actually also to my advantage. And unfortunately, you have to use that if you want to go viral with videos. There's no other way. And that's also the reason why some people that not everyone, but not everyone needs to go controversial. Some people also just need to be, for example, good looking or whatever. And the thing about Sadia was always that she has kind of like this I mean, I'm not a fan of women who wear a lot of makeup. I don't like women who wear a lot of makeup. It's I don't feel attracted to them. I like natural women, but I understand that a lot of people, the way she talks, her English accent, um, her makeup, that they like to look at her. And then when she says something about um, relationships, where everybody feels like they have something they can add to it, makes the algorithm activate. And that's how she went viral. Otherwise, I don't know if it was an accident or was deliberate marketing. Um, I think it was a little bit of both. I don't think she's so smart enough that she triggered it on purpose. I think she's just controversial in her own beingness, and she learned to talk about things that just people were interested in. And I think that you can use that deliberately and bring your message out, but you have to learn to deal with the negativity of it. In other words, you cannot be nowadays, you cannot be famous for anything that you say if you don't accept the negative part also as well. And it's interesting because if you look at someone like Mooji, who is, you know, a living spiritual guru, he leveled almost at like he has like 860,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it kind of like leveled out. It's not growing. And the reason is it's not growing is because they removed the from the since the beginning they removed the ability to comment on the videos, because the moment they open the comments there's going to be a lot of negative stuff, but it's really necessary in order to for the algorithm to really open this up and go global. So this is a very interesting observation, is that, and it's an unfortunate thing, but you have to realize it, like if you say I want to go global with my opinions, with my teachings, with my, and YouTube is a great thing. I mean, video communication is a great thing for teaching. It's absolutely fantastic for teaching, but it can also be toxic if somebody's teaching something that they are not integer with, that's not authentic, that is not truthful. Think about all the YouTubers that are highly depressed, but they would never, you know, say it in a video. I remember there was this video with Mr. Beast where he was asked, "Are you happy?" And he was basically saying, "No, he's not happy." And it was so interesting um, because all these people, they seem to be happy superficially, but they're not really. And the same goes with Sadia and everyone else. You just have to understand that maybe they're not as happy as they seem to be, you know? And quite honestly, from my understanding of energy systems and energy bodies and psychoenergetic fields, if somebody puts that much makeup in their face, the likelihood that they're happy is very low. Sorry to say, but that's just the truth. So let me go back. Don't listen to them, Jay. They might be haters, but you can just push them out of the way because we're your fans and we love you. Very nice of you. Thank you very much. That would be not nice to learn something about this. Well, I'm gonna make a video, another video about toxic metaframing to understand toxic metaframing, so you can recognize toxic people immediately. Let's check out my video because I don't remember. It's very short.
Careful about Sadia Khan Psychology, because in an interview with Pearl, she said to a question directly asked to her, she was asked, "Would you date Drake?" And she said she waited for a moment, and then she said, "I don't know if he would date me." And in the whole podcast, she was making a case for a man being low value if he slept with a lot of women and wasn't choosing good women. So she totally lost the case. And not only that, but for a kind of like conservative Muslim Pakistani woman, I felt she's just by considering it even just remotely, given that what she would
Personally, when I look at my own videos, I hate my English accent, unfortunately, but
was argumenting in
but I saw another person which was completely faking their British accent, and she had a lot of success with it as well because people like to listen to the British accent. But I feel like it to me it sounded so disingenuous to fake your accent. So I'm just gonna go with whatever I have. Thank you, Happy Thoughts. I personally, I when I listen to it, because I have a mix between I'm actually Czech. I'm in Prague, born in Prague, partially raised in Germany, speak French, speak Spanish. So it is for me, it's like a mix between. And in the last couple weeks or month, I've been speaking a lot of Spanish as well.
and
So
discussing about it, it showed very clearly that she's not living by her true values, by the values that she speaks. So she's basically lying to everyone because she's not living what she's truly speaking. And
I had a good microphone set up there. I think I had the Rhodes.
for me, as an energy healer, as someone who understands people, as understands energy, I just need to take one look at her and I understand her immediately. If I were to size her up and feel like what she's about, I'd basically say, for most men, she's a beautiful woman. And by having kind of like a semi-professional demeanor, kind of like a little bit more relaxed, almost as if mature, she seems to have competence. Competence in the sense that, like, if she gives you advice, you kind of believe it because the way she says it. But just because she says it in a certain way, and just because she has a certain appearance about it, doesn't make the information truly high value. And that's something a lot of people don't understand. And you have to look.
I said this a lot of times in my videos. I stream a little bit more in German than I speak in English. I should make much more English videos. Maybe this is gonna be a good incentive to do this. I see this. I say this a lot of times. Just because someone has a certain position, or just because they studied something, or just because they talk in a nice way, it doesn't mean that they have competence. And actually, there's very few people in the world with high competence on any given subject. And so a lot of times what I say, question everyone, everything, and sometimes yourself, and try to build your own competence in whatever you do. The good thing that nowadays we have more and more tools with artificial intelligence and everything to build your own competence. So you don't need to listen to a Sadia Psychology and give her so much attention. You can try to build your own competence for whatever, I love using AI as kind of like a devil's advocate. So, or maybe just broaden my horizon and perspective. So I would give AI a situation and I would be like, give me a couple of ideas on how you see it. And it just gives me as many perspectives that I need from different perspectives. It gives it back to me. And then it can be like, oh, okay, I didn't look at it from this perspective and so forth. And it can be for anything. And I think that that frees you from the idea of giving certain people too much benefit of the doubt, and too much an idea that they have competence when they don't really have. And for me, Sadia Psychology is a person who exudes apparent competence but has zero
Look at where
or very little.
is this person coming from. And if they're talking about Muslim values and traditional values, and what men and high value men and high value females are, but then she says, "Oh, I'm considering I would."
I think this is even funny because my ex-girlfriend sent me a video once when we were still together. That was at that time around. And I think this is maybe where the video came from. And she said, "Oh, I think you're a high-value man." And I said, "Have you been listening to Sadia Khan?" And this is the problem that people like Sadia Khan, as you look at them, they enter into your brain. They enter into the brain of your girlfriend. They enter into the brain of your people, and they start to manipulate like your environment. They start to, when people have a say and people believe them, they start to manipulate your environment, because then you have to talk about it. And when my ex-girlfriend said to me, "Oh, you're a high value man, I'm a low value woman," I was like, "Where do you have this from?" And I think this is super interesting to think about, why are you picking up ideas by other people so quickly and making them your own? Why do you say to yourself, why are you toxic metaframing to yourself and saying I'm a low value woman? In my opinion, it doesn't have to do with self-love. Self-love is really the idea that you do things which are harmonious to yourself. Do things which are harmonious to yourself. And if you pick up ideas like "I feel like a low value woman," then you are definitely not picking something that's more harmonious, and it's not self-love.
Kind of like, well, I don't know if he would date me, but it's just totally out of the question. It's like, for example, if somebody asked me, would I date Kim Kardashian? I would say absolutely no. There's like no fucking way. There's no absolute no way whatsoever. And just the consideration of keeping it open says that she's malleable, she's an opportunist, and she will take whatever helps her gain status. And that's something.
There's very few people in the world that have such a clear idea of their own morals and their own kind of worth and what they find important in life, that they can be hardliners about those things. Most people, especially nowadays, a lot of young people, especially women, they will be opportunists. They will take whatever seems to give them some kind of benefit.
That I literally can feel with her, that she's interested in status. And my feeling is also that astrologically, she kind of craves that. And her channel is a way to come to status.
I wonder, I think if she's been truly so exposed, it's going to be interesting how she's going to respond. I think she's going to respond like a narcissist. I think she's going to respond a little bit like Trump in a sense to it, and we'll see if something pops up. I think she will try to bury it. Whatever came up. I'm not 100% sure what was exposed, but
Basically,
we'll figure it out.
Which in itself is fine if that's like your psychological or astrological profile or character profile, or if it's in your soul plan. But to tell people what a high value man is or a high value woman, and then in just 1 second completely obliterate what you've been saying because you don't yourself live it, it just makes it. Jordan Peterson, on the other hand, is something else. He says something and he lives it. So that's my personal view. And so I would, if somebody would ask me, would you date Sadia Khan? I would be like, I would consider meeting her for lunch or something, but I highly doubt I would ever date with her or even think about her romantically. First of all, she's not really my type. Second of all, I noticed that kind of that pliable sense in her where she's like she's saying something else but she doesn't have the frame to keep it and to stick with it, just like the thing with Drake. I mean, come on, just the fact that you would think about dating Drake makes for me absolutely no sense whatsoever. And she actually, by doing that, funnily enough, she kind of made herself display as a low value female by her own definition. That's very funny, kind of. So, and by the way, I see this whole thing with high value men, high value women completely different. I don't think it's a question. A lot of people, when they go into discussions, they kind of pick up the meta frame of the person that they're speaking with or the group. I would completely break the meta frame because I don't think it's about high value, low value. I think about where's your soul plan. What is your soul plan? Does the partner have the same soul plan?
I think this is something that I want to say as well, is that here again, I want to say this again. The best match between two people is whether they have the same soul plan and whether they have chakra connection, whether there is a magnetic pull within the chakras to each other. Those are the two most important things for a successful relationship. The rest, like low value, high value man, is
Are you
bullshit.
both interested in growing spiritually, in helping others? What is your soul plan? And if their soul plan is just to show their body, then you cannot be with someone who wants to spiritually grow. It's just totally different. So I don't see it as high value, low value. I see more like the soul plan, and that makes much, much more sense. So I wanted to share that with you because I noticed when she was speaking, and I said, this doesn't make sense at all.
It's interesting. So I didn't make a video about Sadia Khan where I really went super deep into an analysis. It was just a personal feeling and understanding that that she's highly incongruent in what she's saying, that she's saying one thing but living something else. So I nailed that. But I didn't go like into details of her content. But there's a lot of things that, for me, when a person doesn't feel authentic, doesn't feel right, I have to force myself to watch their content in order then to respond to that content individually, on on a micro level. And for me, that is very energy draining, especially if I don't believe in them, or if I don't believe they can help me or anyone else in what they do. And just like, honestly, just like looking at her different profile, photos, and the massive amount of makeup that she has on, it's a little bit typical, to be honest. It's like with the Mexican girls, the kind of like the Pakistani Muslim girls and so forth. They love to put on a lot of makeup, so I try. It's like culturally also somehow, and I think they need to emancipate from that. I think a lot of Muslim women, they need to understand that, there's a huge problem, in my view, with the Sims and with certain type of men on the internet that give these type of women way too much attention, way too much money, way too much energy, way too many comments, and they don't have a certain flair or chicness in and they don't have, how do you say it, like they don't have their expectations, their kind of also almost like aesthetic necessity is kind of out of whack. Like, for example, women with false breasts, okay, or with Brazilian butt lifts or Botox. I find them extremely repulsive. I find all these women with a lot of makeup, Botox, fake breasts, breast lift, and so forth, and these fake eyelashes and eyebrows. I find them extremely repulsive. But there's millions of men around the world that give these women tremendous amounts of attention, energy, money, everything. And we be it on Instagram, on OnlyFans, or on YouTube, just giving them attention because they rub themselves one out, or how do you say, this one, looking at these women. And I find them repulsive, these women. I truly find them repulsive. And I knew a guy, and this is kind of like bizarre to me because I understand if there's like a loser sitting somewhere, I don't know, in Lebanon, looking at this woman and being like, oh my God. What I don't understand is I know there's successful men. For example, I know a guy who is not mentally successful because he has some kind of depression or something or mental illness, but he's from business wise, he's highly successful. He comes from Salzburg. And I got to know him a little bit, and he has his own company where he does events for, corporations and kids. And he got a new girlfriend, and this girlfriend was the kind of same like Barbie doll, Sadia Psychology type of makeup and stuff. She was blonde and but tons of makeup and everything fake breasts, and I'm like, you truly find her beautiful? And he says yes. And I find this is the same thing with tattoos. Women with tattoos, I find them highly displeasing. I don't enjoy them. I don't enjoy tattoos on women. And I do understand when some people say, okay, a tattoo is fine or something like that. I understand that, but the rest kind of, even, I mean, I'm highly spiritual and I'm highly health conscious, and for me, even the fact like putting chemical stuff on your skin is like an absolute no go, or putting plastic or silicone or whatever in your body. That's these things are for me absolute no go, or like whatever
And this
you're
is why female
injecting in
dating.
your skin or whatever. So I never understood that, to be quite honest. And so, but then if you understand that these men are out there and they give these women so much attention, then no wonder that these women are blowing up or all over the place on the internet, you know? Instead of the women that really have something to say, that really have got good content, that really have good competence. And this is something that I never understood. But it is what it is. And yeah. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that at the moment. I'm kind of, to be honest, okay, that pleases me a little bit that one of my videos got recognition for recognizing something that I'm 100% was sure in that I recognized correctly. And I should maybe make more of these videos because one by one they will probably blow up. Okay, so I'm gonna make a video about toxic metaframing and then upload that and you can take a look. So see you soon.